Let me start with a question. Why are you here? You don't have to answer out loud, but I need you to really think about it. Why are you here? Why is this question important? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because first we understand why, then we understand how. As a matter of fact, if our why is big enough, we will be determined and committed to the process of how. We are about to embark on a journey, and our destination is leadership success. Here's my promise to you. You will walk out of these doors at the end of our time together with the tools you need to lead, motivate, and empower your team members. You will discover how to create commitment, not just compliance, and there's a huge difference. You'll discover tools to increase employee retention, raise employee morale, relieve your stress, and become the leader people want to follow. At the end of our time together, you will exit with the blueprint to take a group of diverse and distinctly different individuals and build a firm, focused, results-oriented team. In the time we have together, you're going to grasp why, and you will absolutely, positively leave this place understanding how. Let's get started. Let me give you our signature sentence for our time together. Now, I use a signature phrase or sentence because it allows me to take information from the classroom into the marketplace and allows me to remember what we talked about for the rest of our lives. You know how you leave a particular training, you bombarded with information, but of course the real proof in the pudding is, can you apply what you actually learned? So this little tool I'm going to give you, the signature phrase, is going to help you remember this hopefully for the rest of your life. Now, just in case you don't think that's possible, let me give you a few examples. Allow me to call on some oldies but goodies from decades and years gone past. Let's play this little game. I'm going to give you a signature sentence, and you name the company or brand associated with that signature sentence. We ready? Let's start with this one. Just do it. Nike. Nike, right? All right. What about if I say, now this is an oldie, What about if I say this? Where's the beef? You're right. Wendy's. Wendy's. Okay, what about this one? This is my last one. When you care enough to send the very best. Hallmark. Hallmark. Okay, good, good. So you see how you remember those decades later? So that's what we're going to do with this training. You're going to get the information, but you're going to learn to use the application through this signature sentence, which is filled with alliteration. I'm a big fan of alliteration. I got this whole idea, by the way, from a book by Andy Stanley called Communicating for a Change. It's an amazing read, one I would recommend to everybody. But here's our signature sentence for our time together. Highly effective leaders know, grow, and go. Highly effective leaders know, grow, and go. Okay, repeat it with me. Highly effective leaders know, grow, and go. Highly effective leaders. Good, good. Now let me explain what that actually means. The more you know about leadership, the faster you grow as a leader. And the faster you grow as a leader, the further you're able to go as a leader. And the further you go as a leader, the more your entire team excels. Why is this important? Because if we are leaders and we look around and nobody's following us, we're not leading, we're simply out taking a walk. Highly effective leaders know, grow, and go. The more we know, the faster we grow, the further we go, the more the entire team excels. So leaders have to be learners. That's why you're here today. I hope you're here for one stop on your lifelong journey to excel as a highly effective team leader. Now, if we're going on a journey, and we are, we're going to need a GPS system. Now, in order for a GPS system to take us from where we are to where we want to go, the system needs to know two things. Anybody know what those two things are? Let me repeat the question. In order for a navigation system to take you from where you are to where you want to go, the navigation system needs to know these two things: where you are and where you want to go. So let's activate our GPS system. We're all starting from this location. Now, as a father of 4, my wife and I, we love to travel. And when you're traveling with 6, it takes some planning. And we've actually driven from Mississippi to Toronto, Canada. No, it wasn't Toronto, Canada, and it wasn't as punishment. We actually enjoyed doing it. But to make the trip both productive and bearable, what we would do is at the beginning, we would pass out the instructions. We would talk about where we're going to stop. So let me share that with you for a minute. Let's go over our points of interest. Let me give you the 30,000-foot view of where we're going. What are our stops going to be? What are our points of interest? Okay, our first stop is 5 characteristics of effective team leaders. There are 5 critical skills that all great team leaders must possess, and we're going to share those with you. Next, we're going to drive on down the road a little bit, and we're going to pull over at the site of building the right attitude. So we're going to move from 5 characteristics of effective team leaders to building the right attitude. Let me ask you this question. Where would you rank attitude on the scale of important attributes of a successful team? Where would you rank it? Let me tell you what my training has basically taught me. For me, attitude is at or near the top. As a matter of fact, let me share something with you from Dr. Jerry Young I heard decades ago. Your attitude, more than your aptitude, will determine your altitude. So how far you actually want to go, how far you want to actually excel, has a lot to do with your attitude. So we're going to move from 5 characteristics of effective team leaders to building the right attitude. We're going to get back in our car, we're going to buckle up, we're going to drive a bit further, then we're going to pull over at the building a results-oriented team stop. Building a results-oriented team. Great people with great attitudes and poor results will get you fired. Wait a minute, Jim, I thought you said attitude was important. Attitude is important. Attitude is an important thing. Attitude is not the only important thing. We've got to be results-oriented, and we're going to talk about that. Our next stop is going to be sharing problem-solving and decision-making. All of us are stronger than one of us. So the question becomes, how do we make all team members feel empowered and energized to engage so we can tap into the resources that we all have to offer? We're going to talk about that. Our next stop is going to be dealing with team conflict. Wow. Conflict is an if, not a when. So how do you anticipate and prepare to deal with conflict? How do you coach and counsel in a manner that allows conflict to strengthen and not destroy? After dealing with team conflict, we're going to pull into the leading a virtual team station. How do you effectively manage team members across thousands of miles and multiple time zones? It requires a special training, a special technique that we're going to share. And our last stop is going to be conducting effective team meetings. Conducting effective team meetings. We're going to share lots of tips. One of the ones I shared with you earlier about having an alliterated foundational sentence for your team meeting. We're going to share several things with you that'll make you really, really excel at conducting effective team meetings. Now, as passengers on this journey, you can be confident by the fact that your driver and tour guide, moi, has already traveled this route. And here's what you need to understand about me. I'm not anything special. I'm not exceptionally bright. I'm not superiorly talented. But what I have done is I've made myself I've made a commitment to pour into resources that will help me be better. And that's something I want to pass on to you guys. So there's enough information out there that if you will access it and then apply it, you can be an exceptional team leader. So you're going to benefit from my professional training, my personal skills, my practical application. You know, along my journey, I have been intern, I have been employee, I've been virtual employee, I've managed virtual employees, I've been senior management, I've been founder and CEO. I've had various levels of success and failure at every stop. Many examples I will share with you with the names withheld or changed to protect the guilty, allowing you the benefit of learning at my expense. Now, we're going to get started with a brief overview of the 5 characteristics of successful team leaders. 5 things that all great team leaders possess that we're going to share with you. Let me give you the introduction. Number 1 is competence. That doesn't mean that you know everything about everything, but it does mean that you're able to surround yourself with people to supplement the things that you don't know. Is anybody familiar with Strength Finders? Strength Finders? The whole idea behind Strength Finders, it's an assessment tool that basically identifies your strength. That's the name, Strength Finders. And so, but the argument behind the tool is that this: if I'm really, really good at sales, why don't I work at moving myself from, on a scale of 1 to 10, from a 7 or 8 to a 9 or 10, rather than taking something I'm not really good at, graphic design, for example, and working hard to move my graphic design up from a 2 or 3 to a 4 or 5. Strength Finders basically argues that I'm never going to be really, really good at what I'm not already somewhat good at, so why don't I spend my time focusing on improving my strengths? And then, Strength Finders doesn't talk about this, but we're going to talk about this. How do you fill in with team members to supplement where you're not the strongest? Competence. One of my first managers told me the key to success in this business, Jim, is to recruit team members better than you are while making sure that you are constantly working to get better. So our first stop is competence. When we talk about 5 characteristics, our first one we're going to talk about is competence. The second we're going to talk about is courage. An effective team leader isn't always the smartest or most creative person on the team. He isn't necessarily the first to identify an opportunity, but an effective team leader is the one who has the courage to initiate, set things in motion, move forward, change course when necessary, or stay the course when necessary. We're going to talk about courage in an effective team leader. The third thing we're going to talk about, we've talked about competence, we've talked about courage, we're going to talk about clarity. And I'm going to share 2 with you that's going to help you love to be clear. L-U-V, love to be clear, by mastering the whole idea behind listen, understand, validate. Listen, understand, validate. You're going to love to be clear. The 4th characteristic of a successful team leader that we're going to talk about is coaching. Listen, guys, you may be good. You may even be better than everyone else. But trust me when I tell you this, without a coach, you will never be as effective a leader as you could be. Let me give you some examples about coaching. Youngest son entered his junior year in high school with 2 or 3 college scholarship offers to play basketball. We hired a personal coach. By the time he finished his senior year, he had over 50 college scholarship offers because of a coach. Now, there was some talent there. He was already good, but he was not as good as he could be without a coach. Another example. I left an industry, moved into a completely new industry, not any previous experience, started from my home, over the next 7 years, grew into a business with 20 employees. How did I do this? At every stop along the way, I had a coach. As a matter of fact, I started by sharing a quote with you from the E-Myth, Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth Revisited. When I read that book, it had such an impact on my life. I literally called up the Michael Gerber, the E-Myth company, and hired them as a coach. At $1,000 a month, I made it, now, not an extra $1,000 that I wasn't going to use anyway. It hurt a little bit. But we met once a week via the phone, and it was worth every dime. You're going to need a coach. Now, the great news is you don't have to spend $1,000 today or even this month. But over the course of your career, you need to get into the habit of being a regular investor in the commitment to be a lifelong learner. And to be a lifelong learner, you're going to need a coach, real and or virtual. So start today with the commitment, with a new attitude of investing in you. A class here, a workbook or a manual there, a resource tool there, $45 today, $65 next month. Slowly, methodically, you're building your resource center that you will continue to build for the rest of your life. Okay, the 5th characteristic of a successful team leader is character. You can lead without character, but you won't be a leader worth following. We have 4 children, as I mentioned earlier, and once a week we have family meetings. As you can see, I'm real big on meetings, team meetings, family meetings. We'd have a meeting, and oftentimes I would pick a particular subject or topic that I want to teach. So I remember the time we talked about character, I basically boiled it down to them in this way. Character is what you are and what you do even when nobody's looking. And you will discover why character is so crucial to your success in being a highly effective team leader. So, we're going to start with the 5 characteristics of successful leaders, and those 5 are competence, courage, clarity, coaching, and character. If there are any questions before we get started? If not, let's get to it.